The Industrial Revolution changed everything. It built the modern world, but it also came at an enormous price. Pollution, child labor, extreme poverty, and deep social divides. Was it truly progress or just a new kind of struggle? This is the story of how industrialization shaped the world, for better and worse. Before industrialization, people relied on hand tools, small-scale farming, and local markets. Life was slow, predictable, but also limited. Then in the late 1700s, something changed. The invention of the steam engine powered a revolution. Factories sprang up, cities expanded, and machines replaced manual labor. The world was producing more than ever before. But at what cost? Imagine working 16 hours a day in a poorly lit, smoke-filled factory. No breaks, no safety regulations. And if you got injured, you were simply replaced. Children as young as 5 worked in textile mills, crawling under machines to fix threads while the gears kept moving. Their small hands were perfect for the job, but also perfect for losing fingers. In 1833, the British government investigated factory conditions and found that many children worked up to 16 hours a day for as little as 5 cents. And it wasn't just the kids. Adults suffered too. Workers inhaled toxic fumes, faced frequent injuries, and had no labor rights. The Industrial Revolution created jobs, but it also created slums. People flooded into cities like London, New York, and Manchester, chasing factory jobs. But the cities weren't ready for them. Families were packed into tiny, filthy apartments. Sewage flowed in the streets. Epidemics like cholera and tuberculosis spread like wildfire. In 1832, a cholera epidemic killed thousands in London, exposing the dark side of industrial urbanization. By 1850, over 50% of England's population lived in urban areas for the first time in history. Before industrialization, nature was largely untouched. But once coal-powered factories took over, the air, water, and land changed forever. The air turned toxic. Factory chimneys pumped out so much smoke that people described cities as being trapped in a permanent night. Rivers became dumping grounds for chemicals and sewage. Fish died, and drinking water turned deadly. One of the deadliest consequences came a century later: London's Great Smog of 1952. A thick cloud of coal smoke mixed with fog, creating a deadly poison that killed over 12,000 people. And the effects didn't stop there. The Industrial Revolution began a chain reaction that led to today's climate crisis. The carbon emissions from those early factories still impact us today. The industrial age never really ended. It just evolved. But workers didn't just suffer in silence, they fought back. As factory conditions worsened, workers began to organize. They formed labor unions, went on strikes, and demanded better wages and hours. One of the biggest turning points came in 1886, during the Haymarket riot in Chicago. Workers demanding an 8-hour workday clashed with police. The protest turned violent, but it sparked a global labor movement. It wasn't just men. Women led factory protests too, demanding fair pay and better conditions. By 1914, most industrialized nations had passed child labor laws and safety regulations. Industrialization wasn't just hardship and struggle, it also brought innovation that changed the world for the better. Railroads connected continents, making travel faster than ever before. Electricity lit up cities, allowing businesses and homes to operate at night. The invention of the telephone revolutionized communication. Mass production made goods cheaper and more accessible, improving life for millions. The world was never the same again. So what can we learn from the Industrial Revolution? It brought incredible progress, but also massive suffering. It built our modern world, but also created problems: pollution, inequality, and climate change that we're still dealing with today. And now, as we enter a new era of automation and AI, we have to ask ourselves, what kind of future are we creating? What do you think was the biggest consequence of industrialization?